Hello, I'm Keith with the Trombone Shop at Schmidt Music, and I want to take a couple minutes to talk about a really unique concept that we get a lot of questions about from a couple of our manufacturers that we love and do a lot of business with, specifically Getzen and Edwards. And that concept is their harmonic pillars, right? So if you've not heard of this, this is the idea of using resonance properties, in particular identifying certain nodal points, kind of, the most important points within the instrument to use and play around with using different materials to affect how the instrument resonates, which is going to affect the rest of the performance experience with it, right? This is something that makers have worked with and have been aware of for generations on generations, but a number of years ago, what Getzen and Edwards came up with was the idea of having these harmonic pillars, these different materials, different weights, to be able to actually play around with these different resonance properties to, again, kind of give the player more control in exactly what the performance experience is like. Now, on the face of it, these little pillars don't look like they should have much at all, if any, kind of impact on how the instrument plays, but it's really kind of astonishing what a difference it can make here. So what we're going to be going through is I'm going to go through and actually play through a number of different combinations of the instrument with the hard pillar, the steel pillar, with the soft pillar, the copper pillar here, and within different positions. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Today, I'm going to be playing all of these different variations on the Getzen Custom Reserve 4047 ET. So take a listen, and then I'll talk about it. So we'll see how much comes across in the audio here, but I can tell you from a player's standpoint, it is amazing what a difference having these pillars in or not makes a difference, right? So now with the Getzen Custom Reserve instruments, the 4047, the 4147, they have a singular pillar location. They're located on the main bell brace. With the Edwards instruments, of course, a number of their models feature the harmonic bridge. And so this is located on the upper bell brace, and it's bridging across the bell section and the F side tuning slide setup, and it's providing 3 different locations to be really more fine tuning exactly where you want these pillars to be. In a way, having this experience with just the singular pillar simplifies everything a little bit there. So, what difference are we going to expect this to make? Well, as I've gone through more of this and just getting to work with manufacturers and work with players and try all these different instruments, the concept, or like how I boil down how an instrument plays, or more importantly, what we can change with an instrument to change how it plays for us, really comes down to either airflow or resonance, right? The kind of air we need to use, or it allows us to use, how that affects the creation of the standing wave within the instrument, how that supports our own individual embouchure vibration, right? And what that does in terms of the sound, response, timbre, control, all of these ideas. Or we have resonance. How is everything from the mouthpiece all the way through to the rim of the bell, how is all of those different resonance properties playing a role here? And the more that I understand the different performance resonance properties of these different materials, the more we can kind of predict a little bit what differences it's going to make for us. So as you might expect, we have our hard pillar, right? Steel. What is this going to do for us? Well, if it's harder, it's going to resonate faster. So what does that mean? Well, it may give us a little bit more, brightness is maybe not the right term there, but it may give us, bring us a little bit of accentuation of kind of the mid-upper overtones. It may focus the sound a little bit, may give us a little bit more outward projection. Maybe it provides a little bit more stability, or maybe it feels a little bit tight. In comparison, we have our soft pillar, the copper. It's going to resonate slower. What is that going to do for us? It may broaden out the sound. It may open up the sound a little bit. It may give us a little bit more weight to the response. Maybe we get a little bit more of a color shift with all this, right? And I have to tell you, going through, that's really what I experienced with these different pillars. For me, going through, and by the way, it's amazing what a difference this instrument makes when we don't have a pillar at all in it. Frankly, I'm not a huge fan of either this instrument, the 4047, or its sibling, the 4147, without the pillars, right? To me, they feel, and maybe you heard that, to me it just felt a little unstable. Everything felt a little bit too open. It felt a little hollow inside. I really feel like the pillars help to rein some of that in a little bit. So for me, going through, I noticed, and again, it's really interesting what a difference it makes whether you put the pillars through on the front side, in other words, kind of facing outward toward the bell, or if you put it on the back side, thread it in upside down, so it's facing down basically towards the ground. It's so strange. It's like just the positioning of it shouldn't make a difference, but it absolutely does. For me, the front location facing kind of towards the bell, in both of these, they felt smoother, more connected, right? I felt like the stainless steel, the steel, I felt like it gave me a little bit more control, a little bit more evenness throughout the response. I liked the copper in a certain way. I felt like it opened things up. There was some really nice room for being able to move the sound through a little bit. But what I found is, especially when I was pushing upper dynamics, I felt like I was getting this little bit of shift. The sound was all of a sudden, the response was compacting down. The lower register felt a little bit tubby to me. It felt like the response was taking a little bit longer than I might like. Vice versa, with both of these, when they're put it through on the backside facing toward the ground, I felt like, first off, I could tell the partials clicked more, right? It felt like there was very distinct levels moving between the partials, the registers, versus the other direction where it felt a little bit more connected. I felt like, in a lot of ways, that's a nice way to kind of moderate the experience. So when I'm working with somebody with these instruments, I'll go through and say, okay, I like what the copper is doing, but maybe I dial back on the roundness, like 5-10%, put it through the other way. I feel like we can kind of balance things out with all of that. And again, maybe that came through in the recording. But, again, it's absolutely personal preference, but it's amazing what a difference these make. These little pillars, and now, again, with the Getzen, the custom reserve, they just come with the one weight. These come in at 0.2 ounces, right? If we're taking a look at the Edwards setup with the full harmonic bridges, they have a variety of different weights and different lengths, right? So you can really do more mixing and matching with it. But again, it's amazing what 0.2 ounce of material in the right place, of the right material, how much of a difference that can make. At the end of the day, can we drive ourselves nuts with this a little bit, like going through and trying to fine tune everything? Maybe, right? At the end of the day, how we perform, I would say, is head, chops, and heart. But it's amazing what a difference this can make in helping us to really refine and help kind of lead toward that pathway to accomplishing, the musical expression that we are trying to. So I hope you enjoyed my little talk through of the harmonic pillar system from Getzen and Edwards. If you have any thoughts about this, if you have experience with the harmonic pillar system, whether on Getzen, on Edwards, any questions about it, feel free to leave them in the comments. And of course, we encourage you to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button for the video, and encourage you to find the Trombone Shop on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. As always, thanks for watching.